Introduction. Welcome to 100 Mind-Blowing Hockey Facts, a collection guaranteed to make you say, "No way, that actually happened." From outrageous plays to unbelievable records, this audiobook is packed with stories that will make you see hockey in a whole new light. Have you ever wondered what happens when a Zamboni driver becomes an NHL goalie and wins? Or how a team managed to score on their own empty net by accident? What about the time a game had to be stopped because of thick fog covering the ice? These are just a few of the wild, unpredictable, and downright shocking moments waiting for you. Each fact has been carefully chosen to surprise, entertain, and make you appreciate just how crazy hockey can be. Whether you're a diehard fan, a casual listener, or just here for some hockey trivia gold, this audiobook has something for everyone. Listen from start to finish, or jump to any section and let the surprises hit you like an open ice check. There's no wrong way to enjoy this journey through the strangest, funniest, and most unbelievable moments in hockey history. So lace up your skates, grab your favorite rinkside snack, and get ready to dive into the madness. By the end, you might just have a few mind-blowing hockey stories of your own to share. Let's drop the puck. The coldest game ever played. The coldest outdoor NHL game on record was played in temperatures so brutal, players' water bottles froze solid. On November 22, 2003, the Edmonton Oilers and Montreal Canadiens faced off in the Heritage Classic at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The temperature at puck drop, minus 22 degrees Celsius, minus 8 degrees Fahrenheit, with a wind chill of minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite the bitter cold, over 57,000 fans packed the stadium, bundled in layers to witness history. Players had to wear toques over their helmets, and goalies reported their masks freezing to their faces. The Stanley Cup's wild ride. The Stanley Cup has been lost, stolen, and even thrown into a fire, but it just won't quit. Over the years, the most famous trophy in sports has had some bizarre adventures. In 1905, members of the Ottawa Silver Seven celebrated by kicking the cup into a frozen canal. They retrieved it the next day. In 1940, the New York Rangers burned their mortgage papers inside it, accidentally scorching the inside of the trophy. And in 1994, after the Rangers won again, it was left on the side of the road after a night of partying. Despite all the chaos, the Stanley Cup always finds its way back home. The goalie who played without a mask. The last NHL goalie to play without a mask did it for years, even after taking pucks to the face. Jacques Plante of the Montreal Canadiens became the first goalie to wear a mask regularly in 1959, but not everyone followed his lead right away. The last NHL goalie to go maskless was Andy Brown, who played for the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1974. Yes, 15 years after Plante's breakthrough. Brown took countless shots to the face, regularly needing stitches mid-game. His reasoning? He believed a mask would block his vision. Thankfully, today's goalies aren't making the same sacrifice. The Zamboni driver who became an NHL goalie. A 42-year-old Zamboni driver was forced into action and won an NHL game. On February 22, 2020, the Carolina Hurricanes faced a goalie crisis when both of their netminders got injured. Enter David Ayres, a Zamboni driver and emergency backup goalie who had never played in the NHL. Despite giving up 2 quick goals, Ayres settled in and shut the door, leading Carolina to a 6-3 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs. He became the first emergency backup in NHL history to record a win, earning the locker room celebration of a lifetime. The curse of the President's Trophy. Winning the President's Trophy is supposed to be a good thing, except it usually isn't. The trophy is awarded to the NHL team with the best regular season record, but history has shown that this honor often comes with a mysterious curse. Since its introduction in 1985, less than 25% of President's Trophy winners have gone on to win the Stanley Cup. Some of the best teams in history have dominated the regular season only to collapse in the playoffs, including the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning, who were swept in the first round after a record-breaking season. The Octopus Tradition. Detroit Red Wings fans throw octopuses onto the ice, and it's been happening for decades. This bizarre tradition started in 1952, when two brothers tossed an octopus onto the ice at a Red Wings playoff game. Back then, teams needed 8 wins to capture the Stanley Cup, one for each tentacle. The Red Wings won the cup that year, and the tradition stuck. Over the years, fans have hurled octopuses of all sizes onto the ice, with the largest ever weighing a whopping 50 pounds. The NHL has tried to ban it, but Detroit fans refuse to let the tradition die. The fastest hat trick in NHL history. One player scored 3 goals in just 21 seconds, an NHL record that still stands. On March 23, 1952, Bill Mosienko of the Chicago Blackhawks pulled off the fastest hat trick in NHL history, scoring 3 goals in just 21 seconds against the New York Rangers. The most shocking part, his line mates set up all 3 goals in the same shift. To this day, no one has come close to breaking Mosienko's record, making it one of the most mind-blowing moments in hockey history. The Stanley Cup once lived in a pool. One NHL player casually left the Stanley Cup at the bottom of his swimming pool. After winning the cup in 1994, Ed Belfour of the Dallas Stars decided to give the trophy a swim. Instead of keeping it on display, he dropped it into his pool and left it sitting at the bottom. This wasn't the only time the cup has taken a dip. Other players have bathed their dogs, babies, and even champagne in it. But Belfour's decision to use it as a makeshift pool ornament is one of the wildest cup stories ever. The emergency goalie rule. An NHL team can use anyone as an emergency goalie, including a fan from the stands. Unlike other positions, NHL teams only dress 2 goalies per game, meaning that if both get injured, they need an emergency backup, even if that means grabbing a random guy from the crowd. This rule has led to wild moments, like in 2018 when Scott Foster, a 36-year-old accountant, was called in to play for the Chicago Blackhawks. Despite having 0 NHL experience, he stopped all 7 shots he faced and became an overnight legend. The Stanley Cup's midnight snack. One player ate spaghetti and meatballs straight out of the Stanley Cup. After winning the Stanley Cup, players get 1 day with the trophy, and they've done some bizarre things with it. In 1996, Colorado Avalanche captain Joe Sakic filled the cup with spaghetti and meatballs and ate right out of it like a giant bowl. Other players have filled it with ice cream, cereal, and even dog food for their pets. The cup has seen it all, but Sakic's pasta dinner remains one of the most legendary meals ever eaten from hockey's greatest prize. The puck that vanished. An NHL goal was scored, but the puck completely disappeared. During a game in 2017, the Saints' Louis Blues scored against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but there was just one problem. No one could find the puck. Replays showed that after crossing the goal line, the puck slipped through a hole in the net and vanished under the boards. The refs were completely baffled, and the game had to be paused while they searched for it. Eventually, the goal was confirmed, but the mystery of the missing puck left everyone stunned. The time a player was traded for himself. An NHL player was traded for himself. Yes, really. In 1987, Brent Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky's younger brother, was part of a future considerations trade between the Quebec Nordiques and the Minnesota North Stars. Months later, when the teams finalized the deal, Quebec ended up reacquiring Gretzky, essentially trading him back for himself. This bizarre situation remains one of the weirdest transactions in NHL history. The only goalie to ever score a playoff goal. A goalie once scored a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs, something no other goalie has ever done. On April 17, 1997, Martin Brodeur of the New Jersey Devils made history by becoming the first and only NHL goalie to score a goal in a playoff game. With the opposing team's net empty, Brodeur fired the puck down the ice and it slid perfectly into the goal. While several goalies have scored in the regular season, Brodeur's playoff goal remains a one-of-a-kind achievement. The NHL team that forgot their jerseys. An NHL team once had to wear their opponent's practice jerseys because they forgot their own. In 2008, the Los Angeles Kings traveled to play the Vancouver Canucks, but when they arrived at the arena, they realized they had forgotten to pack their jerseys. With no time to get them, the Kings had no choice but to borrow white practice jerseys from the Canucks. The game went on as scheduled, but it was a bizarre sight, an entire NHL team playing in the wrong uniforms. The game that ended in a tie after 6 overtimes. One NHL playoff game lasted over 176 minutes and still didn't have a winner. On March 24, 1936, the Detroit Red Wings and Montreal Maroons played the longest game in NHL history. The game went into an exhausting 6 overtimes, lasting 176 minutes and 30 seconds before Detroit's Muddy Ruel finally scored the game-winning goal. By the time it ended, players were collapsing from exhaustion. Goalies had faced over 90 shots, and the ice was a mess. It remains the longest game in NHL history and may never be broken. The player who wore his skates to bed. One NHL player was so dedicated, he slept in his skates as a kid. Hall of Famer Glenn Hall, one of the greatest goalies in NHL history, had an unusual way of preparing for his career. He wore his skates to bed as a child. Growing up on a farm in Canada, Hall wanted to break in his skates faster, so he slept with them on to mold them to his feet. His dedication paid off. He went on to set an NHL record by playing 502 consecutive games as a goalie without a mask. The mascot that got arrested. An NHL mascot was once arrested on the ice. During the 2001 NHL All-Star Game in Denver, the San Jose Sharks mascot, S.J. Sharkey, attempted a dramatic entrance by rappelling from the rafters. But things went horribly wrong when he got stuck in midair, dangling helplessly above the ice. Firefighters had to rescue him, but the chaos didn't stop there. Security officers then arrested him for disrupting the event. While it was mostly for laughs, S.J. Sharkey remains the only NHL mascot to ever be arrested at a game. The player who was traded for a bus. An NHL player was once traded for a bus, yes, an actual bus. In 1993, minor league player Tom Martin was traded from the Victoria Cougars to the Seattle Breakers in exchange for a brand new team bus. The Cougars desperately needed new transportation, and instead of cash or draft picks, they traded away Martin to cover the cost. Luckily, he took it in stride, later joking that he hoped he was at least worth a luxury model. The Stanley Cup was once left at a bar. The most prized trophy in hockey was once forgotten at a bar, overnight. After winning the 1924 Stanley Cup, members of the Montreal Canadiens took the trophy out for a celebratory dinner. But as the night went on, excitement took over and they accidentally left it behind at the bar. The next morning, they scrambled back to retrieve it, finding the cup right where they had left it. Luckily, no one had stolen it, but it definitely had one wild night. The time the puck exploded. An NHL puck once shattered into pieces during a 1979 game between the St. Louis Blues and the New York Rangers. The puck literally exploded after being hit with a powerful slap shot. The frozen rubber couldn't handle the impact, and it shattered into multiple pieces on the ice. The refs had to pause the game while players picked up the broken fragments. Though rare, exploding pucks have happened a few times, especially in extremely cold conditions when the rubber becomes brittle. The goalie who scored on his own net. A goalie once scored an own goal without even touching the puck. In 2013, Phoenix Coyotes goalie Mike Smith became the first NHL netminder to lose a game by scoring on himself in overtime. During a matchup against the Buffalo Sabres, an opponent dumped the puck into the zone and it bounced weirdly off the boards. The puck hit Smith's back, trickled into the net, and the game was over. Since the last Buffalo player to touch the puck was the official scorer, Smith was credited with the goal against his own team. The player who wore a mic and regretted it. An NHL player was mic'd up, only to get injured moments later. During the 1993 Stanley Cup Final, Los Angeles Kings star Wayne Gretzky convinced teammate Marty McSorley to wear a microphone for a live broadcast. Just minutes into the game, McSorley took a brutal hit and his painful groans were caught on live TV. The NHL quickly reconsidered its approach to mic'd up players, realizing that broadcasting real-time agony wasn't the best idea. The NHL game that started with a brawl. An NHL game once began with a full-team fight before the puck even dropped. On December 23, 1991, the New York Rangers and Quebec Nordiques took pre-game tension to another level. As soon as the referee got ready for the opening face-off, players from both teams dropped their gloves and started fighting. The game hadn't even officially started, yet all 10 skaters on the ice were already throwing punches. It remains one of the most chaotic starts to an NHL game in history. The Stanley Cup was once used as a flower pot. A hockey fan once planted flowers in the Stanley Cup without realizing what it was. In 1905, after the Ottawa Silver Seven won the Stanley Cup, one player brought it home and left it in his backyard. A few days later, his mother, not recognizing the legendary trophy, filled it with dirt and planted flowers in it. The cup sat as a makeshift flower pot until the team realized what had happened and retrieved it. This remains one of the strangest Stanley Cup mishaps in history. The time a fan stole the puck. Mid-game. A fan once snatched the puck off the ice while the game was still going. During a 2001 game between the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning, a loose puck slid toward the boards. Before a player could retrieve it, a fan reached over the glass, grabbed the puck, and hid it in his jacket. The referees were completely confused, looking around for the missing puck while the fan sat there acting innocent. He was eventually caught and had to return the puck, but not before delaying the game with one of the boldest fan moves in NHL history. The player who wore the wrong skates. An NHL player once played an entire game wearing someone else's skates by accident. During a game in 1970, Boston Bruins defenseman Bobby Orr was in a rush to get dressed and accidentally put on his teammates' skates. Despite the mix-up, he still dominated the game, scoring a goal and adding an assist. When he realized the mistake afterward, Orr just shrugged it off, proving that for a legend like him, even the wrong equipment couldn't slow him down. The game with 3 overtime winners. An NHL game once had 3 different game-winning goals because 2 were disallowed. During a 2013 playoff game between the Chicago Blackhawks and Los Angeles Kings, the Blackhawks thought they had won in overtime, not once, but twice. Both goals were reviewed and overturned, leaving fans in disbelief. Finally, on the 3rd attempt, Chicago's Brent Seabrook scored the real game winner, sealing the victory for good. It was one of the wildest finishes in playoff history, proving that sometimes winning takes more than just one shot. The team that scored on themselves twice. One NHL team accidentally scored 2 own goals in the same game and still won. During a 1976 game, the Colorado Rockies, now the New Jersey Devils, pulled off the impossible. They scored on themselves twice in one night. The bizarre goals happened when defensemen attempted to clear the puck but ended up shooting it straight into their own net. Despite these massive blunders, the Rockies still managed to win the game, proving that sometimes even a little self-sabotage isn't enough to stop a victory. The goalie who played every game for 7 years. One NHL goalie played every single game for 7 straight seasons without missing a single start. From 1955 to 1962, Glenn Hall of the Chicago Blackhawks played an unbelievable 502 consecutive games, all without wearing a mask. Nicknamed Mr. Goalie, Hall endured puck bruises, exhaustion, and even playing through sickness, yet he never took a night off. His streak is considered one of the toughest records in NHL history, and with today's goalie rotations, it will likely never be broken. The Stanley Cup was once used as a toilet. A baby once used the Stanley Cup as a toilet seriously. After the 1905 Ottawa Silver Sevens Stanley Cup win, a player brought the trophy home, where his toddler decided to use it as a potty. Decades later, after the 1994 New York Rangers victory, Brian Leetch's son did the exact same thing. While the cup has been used for champagne, cereal, and even dog food, this might be the strangest and messiest use of all. The referee who scored a goal. An NHL referee once accidentally scored a goal against his own team. During a game in 1980, a shot from the blue line bounced off referee Ron Foyt's skate and slid into the net. The problem? The goal counted against the team he was standing near. Since referees are considered part of the play, the unlucky bounce was ruled a good goal. The players were furious, but the bizarre moment proved that sometimes even the refs can change the outcome of a game. The player who won the Stanley Cup before playing an NHL game. One player became a Stanley Cup champion before ever playing in the NHL. In 2011, Thomas Tatar was called up by the Detroit Red Wings, but didn't play in a single NHL game that season. However, because he was part of the Black Aces, a group of reserve players teams carry in the playoffs, he still got his name engraved on the Stanley Cup when Detroit won. He went on to have a solid NHL career, but Tatar holds the rare honor of being a Stanley Cup winner before ever stepping on NHL ice. The goalie who scored twice. One NHL goalie scored 2 goals in his career, a record that still stands. While goalies rarely get the chance to score, Ron Hextall of the Philadelphia Flyers did it twice. In 1987, he became the first NHL goalie to score by shooting the puck into the empty net. Then in 1989, he did it again, this time in a playoff game. Hextall's offensive skills made him the first netminder in history with multiple career goals, a record that has yet to be broken. The Stanley Cup's strange travels. The Stanley Cup has been to war zones, mountaintops, and even space. Over the years, the Cup has gone on some wild adventures. In 2004, it was taken to a war zone in Afghanistan to boost troop morale. It has also been to the top of Mount Everest, the bottom of a swimming pool, and even inside a player's bed. But its most mind-blowing trip? In 2007, astronaut Garrett Reisman took a replica of the cup into outer space. The player with no teeth. One NHL legend played most of his career with barely any teeth. Bobby Clarke, the Hall of Fame captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, was known for his fearless play and toothless grin. Due to the rough style of hockey in the 1970s, Clarke lost most of his front teeth early in his career, but he refused to wear dentures on the ice. Instead, he embraced his famous gap-toothed smile, making it one of the most iconic looks in hockey history. The game played without a puck. An NHL game once started without a puck because no one could find one. During a 1979 matchup, the Montreal Canadiens and Pittsburgh Penguins were ready for puck drop, except there was no puck. The referees searched everywhere but couldn't find one, leading to an awkward delay. Eventually, an arena staff member ran to grab a new puck, and the game finally began. It's one of the rare moments where an NHL game was stopped before it even started. The rookie who won MVP. A rookie once won the NHL's MVP award, something no one else has done since. In 1939, Carl Voss became the only player in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy, league MVP, in his rookie season. While many incredible rookies have made an impact over the years, not even Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, or Sidney Crosby managed to pull this off. Voss's achievement remains one of the most unbreakable records in hockey history. The fastest slap shot ever recorded. One NHL player blasted a slap shot at a jaw-dropping 118 miles per hour. During the 2012 NHL All-Star Skills Competition, Zdeno Chara unleashed a 118.3 miles per hour, 190.4 kilometers per hour slap shot, setting the record for the fastest shot in NHL history. Chara, known for his towering 6 feet 9 inches frame, had already broken the record multiple times before finally reaching this insane speed. To this day, no player has been able to top his legendary rocket of a shot. The player who won the Stanley Cup on a broken leg. One NHL star played through the Stanley Cup final with a broken leg and still scored the winning goal. In 1964, Bobby Baun of the Toronto Maple Leafs suffered a fractured ankle in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup final. Instead of sitting out, he refused to leave the game, had his leg frozen with painkillers, and came back to score the game-winning goal in overtime. The Leafs went on to win the Cup in Game 7, making Baun's heroic moment one of the toughest performances in NHL history. The coach who pulled his own goalie in overtime. One NHL coach pulled his goalie in overtime, and it instantly backfired. During a 1998 game, Buffalo Sabres coach Lindy Ruff made a shocking decision. He pulled his goalie in overtime while on the power play, hoping for a 6-on-3 advantage. Instead, the opposing team immediately stole the puck and scored into the empty net. The risky move backfired in seconds, making it one of the most bizarre coaching decisions in NHL history. The game that used 132 pucks. One NHL game went through 132 pucks because they kept freezing. During the 2003 Heritage Classic, an outdoor game between the Edmonton Oilers and Montreal Canadiens, the temperature dropped to a bone-chilling minus 22 degrees Celsius with a wind chill of minus 30 degrees Celsius. Because of the extreme cold, the pucks kept cracking and breaking, forcing officials to constantly swap them out. By the end of the game, a record-breaking 132 pucks had been used, something never seen before in NHL history. The player who played for two teams in one day. One NHL player played for two different teams on the same day. On March 10, 1991, goaltender Clint Malarchuk started the day as a member of the Quebec Nordiques, playing against the Hartford Whalers. After the game, he was traded to the Whalers, who had a game that same night. Malarchuk suited up again, this time playing for Hartford. He remains one of the only players in NHL history to play for two teams in a single day. The time an NHL team played with no fans. An NHL game was played in front of an empty arena, with 0 fans in attendance. On April 26, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the NHL resumed play in a bubble environment where games were played without any spectators. While it was a strange sight, it wasn't the first time an NHL team had played without fans. In 1992, a game between the New Jersey Devils and Calgary Flames was postponed due to a blizzard, and when it finally resumed, only a handful of fans could make it. The announcers joked that it felt like a scrimmage instead of an NHL game. The time a Zamboni caught fire. A Zamboni burst into flames while cleaning the ice. During a 2020 high school hockey game in Rochester, New York, a Zamboni was doing its usual resurfacing when it suddenly caught on fire mid-rink. The driver, miraculously unfazed, calmly finished resurfacing the ice while flames shot out from the engine. The fire was eventually put out, but the image of a burning Zamboni rolling across the ice became an instant internet sensation. The shortest NHL career ever. One NHL player's career lasted just 3 seconds. On March 22, 1948, Bobby Gassoff of the St. Louis Blues was sent onto the ice for his NHL debut, but as soon as the puck dropped, a fight broke out. Gassoff was immediately given a game misconduct and ejected before he could even take a single shift. His official NHL career lasted just 3 seconds, making it the shortest in league history. The fan who scored a goal. A fan once scored a goal in an NHL game without stepping on the ice. During a 2016 game, the St. Louis Blues took a shot that missed the net and deflected over the glass. The puck flew straight into the stands, where a fan sitting behind the goal instinctively caught it and dropped it into his beer cup. The cameras caught the moment perfectly, making it look like the fan had scored a goal. The crowd erupted, and even the players laughed at the lucky shot. The goalie who played without pads. An NHL goalie once played an entire game without proper leg pads. In 1927, New York Rangers goalie Lorne Chabot had his leg pads go missing before a game. With no backup gear available, he was forced to improvise, so he borrowed a pair of cricket pads from a nearby sports store. Despite the awkward fit, Chabot still played the game, proving that hockey players will do whatever it takes to stay on the ice. The coach who climbed into the stands. An NHL coach once left the bench mid-game to fight a fan. During a 1979 game at Madison Square Garden, tensions boiled over when a fan grabbed a player's hockey stick from the bench. Furious, Boston Bruins head coach Don Cherry and several players climbed into the stands, sparking a wild brawl between the team and the fans. Security eventually broke it up, but the incident remains one of the craziest moments in NHL history. The player who scored a goal with his face. An NHL player once scored a goal using his face, by accident. During a 2009 game, Detroit Red Wings forward Johan Franzen went to the front of the net when a teammate took a powerful shot. The puck deflected off Franzen's face and went straight into the goal. While he was left with a bloody nose and a swollen lip, the goal still counted. When asked about it after the game, Franzen simply laughed and said, "They all count, right?" The player who forgot how to get dressed. An NHL rookie once had to ask a teammate for help putting on his gear. When Sidney Crosby entered the NHL in 2005, he was just 18 years old and had never worn a suit of brand new pro-level equipment. On his first day, he struggled so much with his gear that veteran Mario Lemieux had to help him lace up his skates and adjust his pads. Despite the rough start, Crosby went on to become one of the greatest players in NHL history. The time an NHL team played with no goalie. An NHL team once had to play without a goalie for nearly the entire game. During a 1928 Stanley Cup final game, the New York Rangers starting goalie Lorne Chabot suffered an eye injury. With no backup goalie on the roster, the team was forced to put in their coach, Lester Patrick. At 44 years old, Patrick suited up and somehow helped the Rangers win the game, making him the oldest goaltender to ever play in a Stanley Cup final. The player who scored 6 goals and lost. One player once scored 6 goals in a single game, but his team still lost. On January 31st, 1920, Joe Malone of the Quebec Bulldogs put on a historic performance, scoring 6 goals in a game against the Toronto St. Patricks. Despite his incredible effort, the Bulldogs still lost the game 10-6. Malone remains the only player in NHL history to score 6 times in a game and still end up on the losing side. The time an NHL game had no penalties. One NHL game was played without a single penalty, something that almost never happens. On October 8, 1977, the Toronto Maple Leafs and St. Louis Blues played an entire 60-minute game without a single penalty being called. In a sport known for its rough play and fights, this was almost unheard of. Since the NHL started tracking penalty stats in 1933, fewer than 5 games have ever been completely penalty-free. The player who played 29 seasons. One NHL legend played professional hockey for an unbelievable 29 seasons. Gordie Howe, known as Mr. Hockey, had one of the longest careers in sports history, playing from 1946 to 1980. He retired at 52 years old after playing in 5 different decades. Even more impressive, he played alongside his own sons in his final seasons. Howe's legendary toughness and longevity set a record that no player has come close to breaking. The player who wore 22 different jersey numbers. One NHL player wore 22 different jersey numbers throughout his career, a record. Journeyman forward Mike Sillinger played for an NHL record 12 different teams, meaning he had to constantly change jersey numbers. By the time he retired in 2009, he had worn a staggering 22 different numbers, more than any player in NHL history. no matter what number was on his back. Sillinger was known for his versatility and leadership, making an impact wherever he played. The fastest NHL suspension ever. One NHL player was suspended just 9 seconds into his career. In 1987, defenseman Dave Manson made his NHL debut for the Chicago Blackhawks. Just 9 seconds into his first shift, he got into a fight and was handed a game misconduct penalty. The league reviewed the incident and suspended him for the next game, making it the fastest suspension ever given to a rookie. The player who played 80 games in a 78-game season. One NHL player played more games than his own team in a single season. In 1992-93, forward Jimmy Carson was traded from the Detroit Red Wings to the Los Angeles Kings mid-season. Because of scheduling differences, he ended up playing a total of 80 games, even though both teams only played 78 games that season. Carson is one of the few players in NHL history to play more games than the actual length of the season. The time an NHL team didn't take a single shot. One NHL team once went an entire period without recording a single shot on goal. During a 2014 game, the Toronto Maple Leafs faced the Columbus Blue Jackets and made history, but not in a good way. In the second period, the Leafs failed to record a single shot on net, despite playing the full 20 minutes. It was one of the few times in NHL history that a team was completely shut down for an entire period, proving that even the best teams can have off nights. The mascot that got banned. An NHL mascot was once banned from the arena for being too wild. During a 1999 game, the Phoenix Coyotes mascot, Howler the Coyote, got a little too enthusiastic while hyping up the crowd. He climbed over the boards and started banging on the glass behind the opposing team's bench, distracting the players. The referees weren't amused and ejected the mascot from the game, effectively banning him from the ice for the night. The time a team scored 2 goals at once. An NHL team once scored 2 goals at the same time, accidentally. During a 1978 game, the Colorado Rockies pulled their goalie for an extra attacker. As they pressured the opposing net, a Rockies player shot the puck toward the goal, while at the same time, a delayed penalty was called against their opponents. The puck went in, and just as the goal light flashed, the referee also awarded a penalty shot. The Rockies technically scored 2 goals on one play, but only 1 counted on the scoreboard. The goalie who played every position. One NHL goalie once played every single position, including forward. In 1928, New York Rangers goalie Chubby Charlie Rayner found himself in a bizarre situation when his team suffered multiple injuries. With no substitutes left, he took off his goalie pads and skated as a forward for part of the game. While he didn't score, he remains one of the only goalies in history to officially play in net and as a skater in the same game. The Stanley Cup was once stolen. The Stanley Cup was once stolen and missing for months. In 1962, after the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Cup, the trophy was put on display in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Montreal. But one night, thieves broke in and stole it. The cup mysteriously disappeared for 3 months before being found abandoned at a police station parking lot. To this day, no one knows who took it or why they decided to return it. The time a player took 67 penalty minutes in one game. One NHL player once racked up 67 penalty minutes in a single game. During a 1992 game, tough guy Randy Holt of the Los Angeles Kings completely lost his temper and set an NHL record for most penalty minutes in one game. Holt was involved in multiple fights, received a game misconduct, a 10-minute misconduct, and multiple minors, all adding up to an unbelievable 67 minutes in penalties. No player has even come close to breaking this chaotic record. The game that used 7 goalies. One NHL game featured a record 7 different goalies. On March 10th, 1982, the Boston Bruins and Minnesota North Stars played a game that quickly turned into goalie chaos. Due to injuries and poor performances, a record-setting 7 different goalies played in a single game. With teams running out of options, even backup goalies who rarely saw the ice were forced into action, making it one of the strangest games in NHL history. The player with the most teeth lost. One NHL player lost all but 3 teeth during his career. Hall of Famer Bobby Hull was known for his blistering slap shot, but he also took a beating on the ice. Over his long career, Hull lost 27 of his 30 teeth due to high sticks, pucks to the face, and fights. When asked why he never wore a helmet or a visor, Hull simply shrugged and said, "I need to see where I'm shooting." The puck that got stuck in a goalie's pads. An NHL puck once disappeared inside a goalie's pads for nearly a minute. During a 2008 game, Vancouver Canucks goalie Roberto Luongo made a routine save, but then something strange happened. The puck vanished. Players frantically searched the crease. The refs looked under Luongo, and even he had no idea where it was. After nearly a full minute of confusion, the puck was finally found, lodged inside his pads. The time a Zamboni driver crashed into the boards. A Zamboni driver once lost control and crashed straight into the boards. During a 2015 game, fans at a minor league hockey game were left in shock when the Zamboni driver accidentally hit the gas instead of the brakes. The machine slammed into the boards, causing damage to the rink and delaying the game for over 30 minutes. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it remains one of the wildest Zamboni mishaps in hockey history. The player who scored 10 points in one game. One NHL player recorded an unbelievable 10 points in a single game. On February 7th, 1976, Darryl Sittler of the Toronto Maple Leafs set an NHL record by scoring 6 goals and adding 4 assists for a total of 10 points in one game. No player before or since has matched this jaw-dropping performance, making it one of the most unbreakable records in hockey history. The coach who benched his entire team. An NHL coach once benched his entire team in the middle of a game. During a 1991 game, legendary coach Mike Keenan of the Chicago Blackhawks was so furious with his team's poor effort that he benched every single player on the roster. He sent out only the fourth-line grinders and left his star players sitting on the bench for nearly an entire period. His bold move sent a clear message, and the Blackhawks responded by winning the game. The fastest goal in NHL history? An NHL player once scored just 2 seconds into a game. On December 19th, 1984, New York Islanders forward Brian Trottier shocked everyone by scoring just 2 seconds after the opening faceoff. His lightning-fast goal remains the fastest in NHL history, proving that sometimes all it takes is one perfect shot to make history. The Stanley Cup was drop-kicked off a balcony. An NHL player once accidentally kicked the Stanley Cup off a balcony. After winning the 1991 Stanley Cup, Pittsburgh Penguins forward Mario Lemieux hosted a celebration at his house. At some point during the party, a teammate jokingly tried to drop-kick the cup, but miscalculated and sent it flying off the balcony. Luckily, the trophy survived the fall with only a few dents, proving that the Stanley Cup is as tough as the players who win it. The longest NHL suspension ever. One NHL player was suspended for a record-setting 41 games. In 2015, Rafi Torres of the San Jose Sharks delivered a brutal hit to Anaheim Ducks forward Jakob Silfverberg during a preseason game. The NHL responded by suspending Torres for 41 games, the longest suspension for an on-ice incident in league history. The punishment sent a clear message about player safety, and Torres never played in the NHL again after serving his suspension. The goalie who scored his own goal in overtime. An NHL goalie once lost a playoff game by accidentally scoring on himself in overtime. In 2013, Phoenix Coyotes goalie Mike Smith had a nightmare moment when a harmless dump-in took a weird bounce off the boards. The puck hit the back of Smith's legs, trickled into the net, and ended the game in overtime. Since the last opposing player to touch the puck was awarded the goal, Smith was officially credited with scoring against his own team. The player who played without a stick. An NHL defenseman once played an entire shift without a stick and still made a save. During a 2008 game, Detroit Red Wings defenseman Nicholas Kronwall had his stick knocked out of his hands early in a shift. Instead of leaving the ice, he kept playing without it, using only his body to block shots and disrupt passes. At one point, he even dove across the crease to stop a puck from going in, making a save that would have made any goalie proud. The referee who forgot his whistle. An NHL referee once started a game without his whistle. During a 1996 game, veteran referee Kerry Fraser skated onto the ice, dropped the puck for the opening face-off, and then realized he didn't have his whistle. Play continued for several minutes as he frantically searched his pockets before finally having to skate to the scorer's table to get a replacement. The moment left players and fans laughing at the rare referee blunder. The player who played with a broken skate. An NHL player once finished a shift skating on one foot. During a 2014 game, Boston Bruins forward Brad Marchand had his skate blade completely snap off after a collision. Instead of immediately leaving the ice, he hopped around on one foot, trying to stay in the play while waiting for a line change. The hilarious scene had fans and commentators laughing as he struggled to keep his balance before finally making it to the bench. The player who forgot his jersey. An NHL player once had to miss part of a game because he forgot his jersey. During a 2008 game, Washington Capitals star Alexander Ovechkin was set to take the ice until he realized he had forgotten to bring his jersey to the bench. The equipment staff scrambled to find it, but Ovechkin was forced to sit out the start of the game while they searched. When he finally got back on the ice, he made up for lost time by scoring 2 goals. The game with no stoppages. An NHL period once went 20 minutes without a single whistle. During a 2016 game between the New York Rangers and Detroit Red Wings, the second period became one of the smoothest in NHL history. There were no offside calls, no icings, no penalties, and no goals, meaning the full 20-minute period was played without a single stoppage. Players later said it was one of the fastest, most exhausting periods they had ever played. The player who scored 500 goals without a hat trick. One NHL legend scored over 500 career goals, but never had a hat trick. Hall of Famer Gilbert Perreault was one of the most consistent scorers in NHL history, netting 512 goals in his career. But despite his offensive talent, he never once scored 3 goals in a single game. He holds the record for the most career goals without ever recording a hat trick, proving that steady scoring can be just as legendary as explosive nights. The goalie who wore the wrong jersey. An NHL goalie once played an entire period wearing the wrong jersey. During a 2002 game, New York Islanders backup goalie Garth Snow was forced into action when the starter got injured. In the rush to get on the ice, Snow accidentally grabbed the wrong jersey, one without his name or number. He played the entire period in the mystery jersey before the team finally noticed and made him switch. The time the puck got stuck in a goalie's pants. An NHL game once stopped because the puck vanished inside a goalie's pants. During a 2017 game, Toronto Maple Leafs goalie Frederik Andersen made a save, but the puck completely disappeared. Players searched the crease, referees looked around, and even Andersen was confused. After a long delay, the mystery was solved. The puck had somehow slipped into his pants and was stuck in his pads the entire time. The team that won a game without taking a shot. An NHL team once won a game in overtime without recording a single shot. During a 2014 game, the Arizona Coyotes and Buffalo Sabres were tied heading into overtime. Just seconds into the extra frame, a Sabres defenseman accidentally knocked the puck into his own net while attempting a pass. Since the Coyotes never actually shot the puck, they won the game without officially registering a shot in overtime. The game with 3 goalie assists. An NHL goalie once recorded 3 assists in a single game. On March 22, 1984, Edmonton Oilers goalie Grant Fuhr made history by registering 3 assists in a game against the Minnesota North Stars. While goalies rarely pick up points, Fuhr was known for his ability to play the puck and start breakouts. His 3-assist night remains a record for the most assists by a goalie in a single game. The player who played for 2 teams in one playoff. One NHL player played for 2 different teams in the same playoffs. In 1980, forward Ken Linseman started the postseason with the Philadelphia Flyers, but after an early round exit, he was sent to the AHL on a minor league assignment. However, because of a unique rule at the time, he was then called up by the Edmonton Oilers, who were still in the playoffs. Linseman remains one of the only players to ever compete for 2 different teams in a single postseason. The fastest 4 goals in NHL history. An NHL team once scored 4 goals in just 49 seconds. On March 19, 1944, the Montreal Canadiens set an unbreakable record by scoring 4 goals in just 49 seconds against the New York Rangers. The explosion of offense happened so fast that even the arena announcer couldn't keep up with calling the goals. To this day, no team has been able to match this lightning-fast scoring streak. The player who played with a broken jaw. An NHL player once finished a game with a broken jaw, then played the next game too. During the 1964 Stanley Cup Final, Toronto Maple Leafs forward Bobby Baun took a slap shot to the face, breaking his jaw. Instead of leaving the game, he had it frozen with painkillers and returned to the ice. Not only did he finish the game, but he played again 2 nights later, helping the Leafs win the cup. His toughness remains one of the most legendary moments in NHL history. The time an NHL game was delayed by a bat. An NHL game was once stopped because of a live bat flying around the rink. During a 1975 playoff game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Philadelphia Flyers, a bat began swooping over the ice, distracting players and fans. After multiple failed attempts to shoo it away, Sabres forward Jim Lorentz took matters into his own hands, literally, by swatting the bat out of midair with his stick. The bizarre moment remains one of the strangest delays in NHL history. The team that scored on their own empty net. An NHL team once pulled their goalie and accidentally scored on themselves. During a 2013 game, the Buffalo Sabres were on a delayed penalty call, meaning the play would stop once the other team touched the puck. To gain an extra attacker, the Sabres pulled their goalie, but then a misplayed pass went all the way down the ice and into their own empty net. Since no opposing player touched the puck, the goal was credited to the last Sabres player who had possession. The player who took a penalty while on the bench. An NHL player once got a penalty while sitting on the bench. During a 1991 game, the Detroit Red Wings' Bob Probert was chirping at the referees from the bench when he took things too far. The official turned around and gave him a 2-minute penalty, forcing Detroit to play shorthanded. Getting a penalty without even being on the ice remains one of the rarest infractions in NHL history. The time a goalie played without a mask. An NHL goalie once played in the modern era without a mask, by accident. During a 1973 game, Philadelphia Flyers goalie Doug Favell was warming up when his mask accidentally broke just before puck drop. With no backup available, he had no choice but to start the game maskless. He played the first period without protection before finally getting a replacement. It was one of the last times a goalie ever faced NHL shots without a mask. The player who scored while sitting down. An NHL player once scored a goal while sitting on the ice. During a 2006 game, Pittsburgh Penguins forward Evgeny Malkin was knocked down while driving to the net. Instead of giving up on the play, he swung his stick while sitting on the ice and somehow fired the puck into the goal. The incredible effort left fans and commentators in awe, proving that Malkin could score from anywhere. The game that ended in fog. An NHL playoff game was once stopped because of thick fog covering the ice. During Game 3 of the 1975 Stanley Cup Final, the Buffalo Sabres and Philadelphia Flyers faced an unexpected challenge. Fog so dense that players could barely see the puck. With no way to clear the rink, officials had to pause the game multiple times to let the fog settle. The bizarre conditions didn't stop Buffalo from winning, but the game became known as the Fog Game, one of the strangest in NHL history. The goalie who played without a stick. An NHL goalie once finished a game without his stick. During a 2008 game, New Jersey Devils goalie Martin Brodeur lost his stick after a collision near the net. With no time to retrieve it, he played the final 2 minutes using only his pads and blocker to make saves. Despite the disadvantage, he still managed to shut down the opposing team and secure the win. The player who scored on his own penalty shot. An NHL player once missed a penalty shot, but still scored anyway. During a 2011 game, Anaheim Ducks forward Bobby Ryan took a penalty shot, but lost control of the puck before getting a shot off. Frustrated, he circled back, stole the puck from the defending player, and scored seconds later in the regular play. While the penalty shot itself didn't count, Ryan still got the last laugh by putting the puck in the net right after. The time a player scored a goal with his head. An NHL player once scored a goal by accidentally using his head. During a 2010 game, Phoenix Coyotes forward Shane Doan was battling in front of the net when a teammate's shot deflected off his helmet and into the goal. The puck never touched his stick, but since it wasn't a deliberate headbutt, the goal counted. It remains one of the most bizarre ways a player has ever put the puck in the net. The time a player scored with a broken stick. An NHL player once scored a goal even though his stick was broken. During a 2007 game, Pittsburgh Penguins star Sidney Crosby took a slap shot just as his stick snapped in half. The puck still had enough momentum to fly past the goalie and into the net. Since the shot was taken before the stick fully broke, the goal was legal, making it one of the most unique goals in NHL history. The player who scored 5 goals, 5 different ways. An NHL player once scored 5 goals in a single game, each in a completely different way. On December 31st, 1988, Mario Lemieux of the Pittsburgh Penguins pulled off one of the most incredible feats in hockey history. He found the back of the net at even strength on the power play, shorthanded on a penalty shot and into an empty net. No other player has ever matched this one-of-a-kind scoring achievement. The game that lasted 3 days. One NHL playoff game took so long to finish that it stretched over 3 calendar days. During the 1936 Stanley Cup playoffs, the Detroit Red Wings and Montreal Maroons battled through an exhausting 6 overtime periods, making it the longest game in NHL history. The marathon matchup lasted 176 minutes and 30 seconds before Maud Brunetto finally scored the game-winning goal. By the time it ended, players were completely drained and the game had officially crossed into its 3rd day. The player who scored his first goal into his own net. An NHL rookie scored his first ever NHL goal against his own team. During a 2013 game, Calgary Flames defenseman Dennis Wideman was trying to clear the puck from his own zone when he accidentally fired it straight into his own net. Since no opposing player had touched the puck, the goal was officially credited to the last player on the other team who had possession. Wideman eventually scored plenty of goals the right way, but his first NHL goal was one he'd rather forget. The Stanley Cup that got left at the airport. The Stanley Cup was once forgotten at an airport baggage claim. After winning the cup in 1924, the Montreal Canadiens were on their way to a victory celebration when they stopped to change a flat tire. The players took the cup out of the car to make room, but when they drove off, they accidentally left it on the side of the road. Hours later, they rushed back and found it still sitting there, completely untouched. Conclusion. Congratulations! You've just powered through 100 mind-blowing hockey facts, uncovering the wild, unpredictable, and downright unbelievable moments that make this sport so legendary. From bizarre bloopers to record-breaking feats, these stories prove that hockey is much more than just a game. It's a world of chaos, skill, and surprises waiting to unfold. But here's the thing about hockey, it never stops evolving. For every fact you've just listened to, there are countless more waiting to happen, each adding to the sport's rich and unpredictable history. Maybe this audiobook has deepened your love for hockey, given you a new appreciation for its crazy moments, or simply reminded you why it's one of the most exciting sports on the planet. The truth is, hockey's greatest stories aren't just in the past. They're happening every night on the ice. Whether you're watching from the stands, following from home, or lacing up your own skates, the next mind-blowing moment could be just one shift away. So as you finish this audiobook, don't think of it as the final buzzer. Think of it as the start of overtime, where the best moments are still waiting to be written. Until next time, stay curious, stay passionate, and remember, hockey will always find new ways to blow your mind. Acknowledgements. Creating 100 mind-blowing hockey facts has been a journey filled with passion, dedication, and a whole lot of appreciation for the wildest sport on ice. While my name may be on the cover, this audiobook wouldn't have come to life without the support, inspiration, and enthusiasm of so many incredible people. First, a huge thank you to the hockey fans, historians, and trivia lovers who have shared legendary stories from the game's rich history. Your passion for the sport and its crazy, unpredictable moments has been a constant source of inspiration, and this audiobook is a celebration of those unbelievable tales. To my family and friends who have patiently listened to my endless chatter about miracle goals, record-breaking moments, and Zamboni mishaps, you are the real MVPs. Your encouragement and enthusiasm helped fuel this project every step of the way. A special shout out to my listeners. You are the reason this audiobook exists. Whether you're here for the laughs, the jaw-dropping moments, or the ultimate hockey trivia, this is for you. Your curiosity and love for the game keep these incredible hockey stories alive. And finally, to the game of hockey itself, thank you for being so fast, unpredictable, and full of surprises. You've gifted us with moments that will never be forgotten. And I'm beyond grateful for the opportunity to share just a few of them. Here's to hockey, to the legends of the past, and to the unbelievable stories still waiting to be told. About the author. I'm Felix Grayson, a storyteller at heart, driven by an insatiable curiosity for the strange, surprising, and downright unpredictable moments in sports. With a deep passion for uncovering the wildest and most unbelievable tales in hockey, I created 100 mind-blowing hockey facts to entertain, amaze, and spark wonder in fans of all ages. When I'm not digging through archives or chasing down the next quirky hockey moment, you'll probably find me watching games from rink-side seats, revisiting legendary hockey documentaries, or debating the greatest goals, fights, and comebacks over a hot drink at the arena. I've always believed in the magic of the sport and the power of a good story. That's why I invite you to join me on this journey through hockey's most unbelievable moments, proving that this game is just as full of surprises off the ice as it is on,